The NFL season is over. Congratulations to your Super Bowl champ, Kansas City Chiefs. They have won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. Congratulations, Gojo, my dog. He is a bandwagon Chiefs fan. And for us NFL fans, Swift Mania is finally done for this year. But let's now move on to the NFL draft. And I got for you today a post-Super Bowl 2-round mock draft. Let's go ahead, get into this sucker. I won't be doing trades, but this will be a little bit more predictive based on what I'm seeing on the consensus and hearing from rumors and whatnot. So let's get this sucker started. We're not changing things at 1. I think Caleb Williams will be a Chicago Bear when it's all said and done. You reset the rookie contract at quarterback. I mean, how often are the Bears going to be at pick 1? I mean, this isn't even their pick. Like, just having Justin Fields come back just means I think there's more of a less likely chance of them getting a top quarterback in the 2025 draft unless they trade down, get future assets. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the simplest option is just to go ahead and get the better prospect, which Williams is the better prospect in comparison to Justin Fields when coming out. The Washington Commanders, they're going quarterback. Question is it Jaden Daniels? Is it Drake May? I've seen Daniels for a few people. I know my buddy Alex from Hail Mary Sports. Check him out. He's pretty solid. He likes the idea of the fit when it comes to Jaden Daniels to Washington. I still have Drake May as quarterback too. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to take Drake May. The New England Patriots, they need a quarterback. Are we going to see 3 quarterbacks off the board? I think we are at this juncture in this mock draft. I'm going to just go ahead and send it. I do like the idea of Marvin Harrison Jr. here, and then the Patriots maybe trading back up. But since I'm not doing trades in here, I don't want to get too crazy with some things. So we're just going to go ahead and take our quarterback. We'll worry about maybe wide receiver in round 2. Cardinals, this one's easy. You have the top prospect on the board in Marvin Harrison Jr. You need some playmakers at wide receiver. He gives you a playmakers. Pick 5, the Chargers. This is Jim Harbaugh's first pick. And I don't think tight end just screams game-changing, franchise-changing pick. Not at least for your first one for this new regime. However, a wide receiver can do that, and I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors. I know there's some discussions. Roma Dunze might be ahead of Neighbors on some boards. Not for me. I think Malik Neighbors is a lot closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. than he is Roma Dunze as at this juncture. And then the New York Giants. We could just send it here, go 3 quarterbacks in a row, and then 3 wide receivers in a row. But offensive line's just been such a problem for the Giants. I think it'd be foolish to go with wide receiver 3 over OT 1 at this point. So I'm just going to grab some more help on the offensive line, and I'm going to take Joe Alt. I think he's kind of objectively the top offensive line player in this class, which now brings us to the Tennessee Titans. This is offensive line almost 100%. Things can change, but they're just kind of in the perfect situation to get either OT1 or OT2. The question is, who would be that OT? I've kind of meddled with Telenisa Fuaga potentially being a really good fit here, but maybe they don't overthink it. I know we haven't seen, I know with all the Senior Bowl hype, we kind of forget about Olufashanu, but he has just got those tools. They're going to be on display at the Combine. People are going to remember, oh yeah, he's kind of a blue chipper in this class, so we're going to snag him here for the Tennessee Titans. We got the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're likely a landing spot for Justin Fields. What that compensation could look like, who knows? Because people, I've heard first round, I've heard second round, I've heard third round. The compensation for Fields seems kind of wild. But I think one way or another, this is kind of the top spot for Fields. This is my front runner. This is where I would put money on where Fields ends up if he is traded, which means this pick's going to be something else. I love the idea of Roma Dunze, but they brought in Raheem Morris, a D defensive-minded guy as the head coach. And they know, and he looks at this team. He's like, they need pass rush. They need it desperately. So maybe he goes with the top defensive player on the board. I think Dallas Turner's probably just a really good fit for Raheem Morris and his scheme. So I'm going to go ahead, snag him here. But before we get to pick 9, if you want to know more about these prospects, I got good news for you. I got a draft guide. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet. So send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals. And guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase and it's a great way to support the channel. Pick 9, Chicago Bears. Rome Odunze is there. That's the pick for me. I love the idea of pairing him up with a DJ Moore. You give your new franchise quarterback Caleb Williams just all of the weapons. I think they'll also be active in free agency, maybe with guys like Calvin Ridley, which I'll kind of mention him a little bit later. But I think that could be a good landing spot. I got a landing spot video coming out tomorrow for a lot of these free agents, so be on the look for that. That's going to be a banger video. New York Jets, they need offensive line help. They got to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. You didn't trade for Aaron Rodgers. You only get him for one game. So you got to make the most out of him, especially at his advanced age. So you got to get offensive line help. Talanoa Fuaga is a guy that has been floated at as OT1. I forgot who it was for. May have been Lance Zierlein, may have been DJ Jeremiah or Daniel Jeremiah, but he's been floated at OT2 a ton. We're going to go ahead and snag him as OT3 in this class. Minnesota Vikings, me personally, I do think Kirk Cousins is coming back to the squad. Doesn't necessarily mean that they don't go quarterback here, but I think they'd have to really love one of whoever they have as quarterback for. They're going to really have to love him to take him here at pick 11. They could make a move up, but again, we're not doing trades in this one. And if I see Kirk Cousins coming back, that means I really don't think they can bring back Danielle Hunter if they bring back Kirk Cousins. So this kind of narrows it down to edge for me, and I'm going to go with Jared Verse. They have their top 3 edge players are all free agents, like Marcus Davenport, DJ Wonham, Danielle Hunter. They can't bring back all of them, but you could maybe bring back one. I think DJ Wonham probably ends up coming back just because he's going to be the easiest one financially to bring back. And then they pair him up with Jared Verse. Now, this is where I get into all this speculation and rumors with the Denver Broncos. I think this pick is a quarterback. I really do. Is it going to be one of the top 3? I don't know. They don't really have the draft capital to move up that much unless they want to just kind of burn 2025 and 2026 first rounders to move up. So I don't think they're going to be doing that. I think they're going to take quarterback 4 here. The question is who? I think Bo Nix is a very good fit here. But the quarterback everybody is talking about is JJ McCarthy. And I think Damian Parsons said this from the Locked On podcast. He also does the Draft Network. Talks about that Peyton probably wants to get a younger guy, a moldable guy, mold him in his way, in his vision. And McCarthy is that. He's going to interview exceptionally well, and he's got the tools. He's going to go a lot higher than where people have him on their board. I got him in the late 20s on my board. Here he is going at 12. I mean, hey, quarterbacks get overvalued every year. So we're going to have JJ McCarthy come here. And then for the Raiders, this is another guy that we've seen, I don't want to say get overhyped. Either you kind of love him or you like him. And I'm going to go with Terran Arnold, the corner out of Alabama. Everyone loves his physical gifts. It's just he's not completely polished yet. So I've seen him go as high as pick 5 to the Chargers. Here at 13, though, I'm willing to be like, okay, that ain't bad. Like the top corners in this class, everyone's going to be arguing about up until the draft. It's very good corner class at the top. Maybe not like high end to some of the ones we've seen, like where we had like Sauce, Derek Stingley, Trent McDuffie. It's not that level, but it's kind of like that next notch where you get in the teens and you're like, I think we could see a ton of corners go. New Orleans Saints with Ryan Ramczyk, his future in question, like tackle becomes like, I think the biggest need on this team. So I'm going to go with the tackle here. We're going to go with tackle 4, J.C. Latham. I think O-line coaches are just going to absolutely love this cat. And I mean, love this cat. So I'm going to snag him here. Indianapolis Colts. For me, this feels kind of like the potential floor for a Brock Bowers. This is a team that doesn't have an established tight end one. It's not Mo Alley-Cox. It's not Kylan Granson. He's just a big slot. Jelani Woods, unfortunately, couldn't play this season because of injury. So they don't really know what they have in him. So Brock Bowers being an exceptional value at this point, I think you just go ahead and snag it. Pick 16. Oh, man. So many people love going offensive line, and I get it, and I don't mind it. But I think with now a defensive-minded coach in McDonald there, you might look at some of the top, like we still got edge 3 on the board. We still got all the top interior players when it comes to the defensive line on the board. And I think we go in that direction because a lot of Seattle's free agents happen to be on the defensive interior. So I'm going to snag my defensive interior 1, Byron Murphy. I've seen him go as high as 13 in some mocks. Actually, I've seen him go as high as 11. So I think this would be a good landing spot. Let me give a quick shout out though to Underdog Fantasy. Thank you for being the sponsor of today's video. When you use promo code Broshmo, when you sign up at Underdog Fantasy, they match that first deposit up to $100 dues. Don't worry, the football season's over, but they do all kinds of sports. They do weekly best ball for those sports. They do higher or lower on player prop bets for those sports. I'm talking, they do every sport. They even do esports. So, hey, if you're a betted man or woman, check out Underdog Fantasy. Sign up using promo code Broshmo. They'll match that first deposit up to $100 dues. But as always, please bet wisely, bet responsibly, bet within your means. Pick 17. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going wide receiver. We're gonna go ahead and take that next tier of wide out and grab Brian Thomas. They're not bringing back Calvin Ridley. Like I've kind of settled on that. He already hit a few of the benchmarks to cost them a 3rd round pick. If they re-sign him, then that 3rd turns into a 2nd. I don't think they're going to be willing to give up a 2nd to keep Calvin Ridley. So I think he's going to hit free agency, which kind of makes wide receiver a big priority. It's up there. This could be corner as well. This could be offensive line help. There's a variety of ways the Jaguars could go. Now we got the Cincinnati Bengals. This is not necessarily one of the toughest ones. It just ends up being so easy that, man, maybe they go in another direction. Like this feels like an offensive line pick. This feels like an offensive tackle pick because just the value is there at this point. I mean, sure, you could go other directions. They could surprise. They could go corner. I mean, Chidobe Awuzie, he's a free agent. They could go corner realistically, but I think it makes more sense to protect your quarterback who was just banged up this past season. So I'm going to go with Amarius Mims to fill up that right tackle spot for the Bengals. All right, we got the Rams here at 19, and I think they're going to go ahead, look at the board, take the value, and keep Liatu Latu in LA. I really do. Liatu Latu, I don't feel like it's so easy in mocks for him to slip out of the top 20. But I just don't feel like that is true. I don't feel like that's going to be the case. I feel like he could go as high as pick 8. And in all honesty, he could go as low as pick 26 is where Tampa's picking at. But I think he probably goes in the top 20. The dude is just an NFL-ready technician. You're going to pair him up with Byron Young. There we go. On the other side, Your defensive line looks scary as hell. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin was there at the Senior Bowl, and he got a front row seat to the best player there at the Senior Bowl, in my opinion, and it was Quinion Mitchell. He's going to pair up Joey Porter Jr. with Quinion Mitchell. That's your young corner tandem headed forward. Miami Dolphins. It has to be offensive line. I don't care if it's Tyler Guyton. I don't care if it's Troy Fautanu. This pick has to be offensive line. Lucky for me, one of my favorite prospects, Jackson Powers Johnson, is available. I have him as a top 20 prospect, but I think he's probably going to slip down just because he plays the center position. It'd be a good fit for us because Connor Williams is a free agent. And even you look at guard and we need help. I mean, Robert Hunt's probably not coming back just because it's going to cost a lot. Left guard's kind of just open. So he helps give us that versatility, but he also gives us necessary talent on that offensive line. Yeah, we got the Philadelphia Eagles, and man, I have a hard time believing this pick is anything other than corner. Their secondary was just so bad last season. You can make a good case for Tyler Guyton. I'm not going to dispute that, but I think Nate Wiggins, higher on my board, bigger position need for the Eagles. Wiggins, I'm taking him here. I think currently he's corner 1 for me too. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, man, when you're predicting this, sometimes your corner 1 falls. Sometimes 2 to 3 other corners are taken in front of them. Okay, Houston Texans. This one just makes a ton of sense. D'Amico Ryans, he came from San Fran. They love having a deep defensive line. Drazon Newton sitting here. Yes, please. Let's go ahead, snag them there. I think they are going to re-sign some of the edge talent that are going to be free agents, like Derek Barnett. You got Jonathan Grenard. So I think those guys will be back. Dallas Cowboys. This one makes just too much sense for me. It truly, truly does. I think they're going to go ahead and snag Tyler Guyton. Guyton could go high because the tools are insane. The physical and athletic ability, it's great. He's just not polished. He's not refined. They did a similar move a couple of years ago with Tyler Smith. Hey, that was a prediction I got right. I figured they were going to fall in love with him. He just didn't feel like he was ready to go from day one. Ended up being fantastic. Maybe the same is true for Tyler Guyton. Before we get to pick 25, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo. Just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Pick 25. Cooper DeJean, man, he is up there for me. Where is he sitting in my cornerback rankings? He is, oh, okay. I got him down at corner 4 now. I feel like that's going to change after he tests out. It's just, we just haven't seen him in a while. He's coming off an injury, but he'd be a good fit. People talk about his flexibility to play in the slot and play safety, but I think he's an outside corner. I'd say, starting from day one, playing on the outside. Eric Stokes can't get healthy. Jair Alexander, he had the shoulder issue this year, but he played a majority of the season. Then you had the whole I am the captain now debacle. But Carrington Valentine showed some good stuff, being a late day 3 pick from the 2023 draft. Corner's a position, though, you need talent, you need depth, you need competition. Cooper DeJean brings that on top of flexibility. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they could go wide receiver if Mike Evans leaves for free agency. I feel like they have enough cap space to bring him back. You could go edge, but I think maybe they go to fortify the offensive line. So I'm actually going to go ahead and snag Troy Fautanu, who will come in and fill in that left guard need, and he gives you tackle flexibility. Okay, we got the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going to go with corner because this corner is hyped up by a lot of media outlets. He's hyped up by a lot of draft analysts in Eunice Rakestraw Jr. I like him as a top 50 prospect. I just don't like him in the first round. But with all the hype that he has, it feels like he's probably going to go in the first round, maybe as early as like Pittsburgh. He is a very good run defender. He's very savvy in terms of just football IQ, I guess, or instincts, whatever we call it nowadays. And I think he's going to test out well. The Cardinals, they need that on the outside. And I think Rakestraw will be a really good fit for Gannon's defense as well. Buffalo Bills. This feels like it's a receiver, right? Is this anything but receiver? They're going to be losing Gabe Davis, so maybe they go for a guy that I really like in Troy Franklin. He gives you that vertical downfield ability, but he's also a very good route runner, which the Bills love. And I think could win at all three levels of the field. The contested catch numbers and the drops weren't nearly as good this year, but we know back in 2022 they were very good. So hopefully that just kind of evens itself out. I'm going to snag him here for the Bills. We're going to go to the Detroit Lions, another guy that is hyped that I don't necessarily have as a first-round player. I'm going to be taking here Darius Robinson. He was one of the most talked about guys coming out of the Senior Bowl. He gives them a lot of flexibility. He's probably going to be, maybe plays that John Kaminsky role. So we're going to snag him here. Everyone's talking about him as a first rounder. Feels like he's probably going to go in the first round. We'll see how he tests out. I got top 50 on him, but I'm a little further down. I like him better as like early to mid second round pick. Baltimore Ravens could go wide receiver here. That was definitely on the mind. Like Keon Coleman was someone at the forefront of my mind for this pick. But I think grabbing more cornerback help's not a bad idea. Some people have Kool-Aid McKinstry falling out of the first round, and I just don't get that. Like I think he's such a well-rounded, very good prospect, and he gives them the Ravens return capabilities as well if you want to use them like that. They've already shown that they like Alabama corners. They were the guys that took Marlon Humphrey. I think in the past they also took I think they were the team that initially took Josh Jobe. I could be wrong about that. I know Jalen Armour Davis, is that the rest of his name? He was an Alabama corner, so maybe they just go back to the Alabama corner. Well, I have a hard time believing he falls out of the first round. San Francisco 49ers feels like this has to be offensive line. Their offensive line got a little roughed up by the Chiefs in the Super Bowl there, so I'm going to go ahead and snag Jordan Morgan. Whether you see him as a tackle, whether you see him as a guard, I think that fits everything that the Niners kind of need right now. So we're going to take him there. And then to wrap up the first round, Kansas City Chiefs, is this pick anything other than wide receiver? I'm going to go with Keon Coleman. People been down on Coleman. I think he's still a first round caliber wide receiver. I think he's going to test out well. He's got good size. You worry about his ability to separate. That I feel like that's something the Chiefs will iron out, but they don't have this type of receiver currently on the roster. And receiver, you would love to get Patty Holmes some more weapons. Let's go ahead and start this second round. Panthers feels like this is a position they have to go wide receiver. I'm going to go ahead and snag A.D. Mitchell. He's kind of the next wide receiver up for me. While I feel like he's not a first rounder, but at the beginning of that second round, man, I think he's going to come off the board really quickly. New England Patriots, this just feels like what the Patriots would do. I'm going to go with Ladd McConkey. Don't know if they're going to make a move at wide receiver in free agency. They might go after like tight end, like Dalton Schultz and whatnot. But even if they do make some moves at wide receiver, Ladd McConkey is a really good addition. Kind of come in and be better Kendrick Bourne, in my opinion. So we're going to snag him there. Arizona Cardinals, I think they're going to get that big meaty boy along the interior next to Dante Stills, who had a very solid rookie campaign. So we're going to grab T'Vondre Sweat. So there we go. We're slowly adding parts to that defense there. Washington Commanders, one of these second round picks have to be edge, in my opinion. It really does. They got nobody out there on the edge right now. So I'm going to use this pick to take an edge, and we haven't talked about him in a little bit. He's kind of losing some of the hype, but I think once he tests out, he's going to fly up people's boards again. I'm going to go with Chop Robinson. And I mean, Commanders, they love them athletes. We're back here with the Los Angeles Chargers, and they need some cornerback help. Now we're going to start that next tier of corners coming off the board here. And I'm going to get them some size at corner because that's also something they're kind of lacking. And I'm going to grab TJ Tampa. I love the dude's movement skills. Tennessee Titans, we grabbed Olufashanu, and I think we're going to stick with the offense. I thought about going edge, thought about going maybe corner. Wasn't necessarily a corner I loved at this point. So I'm going to go with wide receiver. I'm going to get a very good route runner and a guy that can be a very good vertical threat. And I'm going to snag Ricky Pearsall there. Another guy that had a big Senior Bowl. New York Giants, and we're going to stick with wide receiver. We're going to get Danny Dimes some help, God willing. Now, for me, I look at the receiving core and I look at what they're currently missing, right? Because variety is the spice of life when it comes to the wide receiver position. You want to have a lot of guys that do things differently. You want to have different prototypes. And they don't really have a Jalen Pollock type of guy on the roster. I think he would be a really good addition to like a Jalen Hyatt, to a Wan'Dale Robinson. He does things vastly different than those two guys. Back here with the Commanders, this is another prospect that honestly could go much higher than this. A lot of people are really high on him. Washington, they tried to bring in Cody Barton, didn't work out there at linebacker. They're looking for that guy to pair up with Jamin Davis. So I'm going to go ahead and snag Edgerrin Cooper. I've seen Cooper as high as a top 20 prospect. So he's going here at 40. Green Bay Packers, man, I think they continue to rework that secondary. This is where the first safety is going to come off the board. I'm going to grab Tyler Nubin. Minnesota Vikings. Hey, quarterback's still sitting here. I'm going to snag Bo Nix. I like this fit for Kevin O'Connell. You didn't have to spend it in the first round. It's sitting here waiting for you in the second round. Granted, we didn't do trades here, so I think if Bo Nix falls in the second round, the Vikings probably would have to move up, but it's relatively way cheaper to do that than doing it in the first round. So we get Bo Nix here. Atlanta Falcons, remember, I'm assuming that Justin Fields is going to be on this roster, so I ain't going to worry about quarterback here instead. I'm going to get something that this team is missing at the wide receiver position, and it is speed. Xavier Worthy, I think, after he tests out, it's going to go much higher than where people have him, me, myself included. I have him in that like 50 to 60 range. I think he probably goes maybe like top 45, top 40. Be a good addition there next to Drake London as well as Kyle Pitts. All right, now this is where the final quarterback will come off the board in Michael Penix. To the Raiders, just makes a ton of sense. You bring in some competition there for Aidan O'Connell. I don't think you just turn a blind eye to the position altogether. So I like this fit there for the Raiders. Got the Saints. I think they stick with the trenches. They're going to go with Braylon Trice here. Get a nice strong boy there. They don't really know what they have in Isaiah Foskey. Is he any more than a rotation guy? Peyton Turner's kind of just a non-existent for this team. Cam Jordan, he's in the twilight years. Although we've come to the end of the road. That's why I'm drafting Trice. All right, we're back here with the Colts. I do want to get that corner. I do think they should add more depth, more competition, more talent at corner. I'm going to grab Kamari Lassiter here. I don't think he's very scheme dependent. He's just a solid corner. The New York Giants, and I already got the wide receiver. Obviously, quarterback's off the board. We could jump to edge, like Chris Braswell being there is kind of nice. But I think I'm actually going to stick with the offensive line because I think Graham Barton's going to go a little higher than this. But I mean, I've seen him talked about as a late first rounder. I think a lot of teams are gonna like him, whether it's center or guard. Him being here at 47 is kind of a good deal, so I'm gonna grab him, pair up there with you got now Joe Alt, you got Andrew Thomas, and they can figure out what's gonna go down with Evan Neal. I mean, shoot, move him to guard, and then you got John Michael Schmitz at center, and you're kind of hoping things get solved. All right, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I didn't go corner in the first round. I went with Brian Thomas instead. I do think they do address the corner position, but not in the way that you think. Their slot has been awful. Sorry, Trey Herdon, but it has. Mike Sainristil is a great fit for Ryan Nielsen. We saw let's call it exclusive slot players go relatively early in the second round, where we saw, oh gosh, I'm blanking on. I loved him last year for the stinking Lions. But you got Jatavius Martin. He went early for the Commanders. Then you had, I want to say Cook, but I know it's not Cook. Golly, why am I blanking? I loved this cat last year. Did I love him? Brian Branch, there we go. I don't know why I had Brian Cook on the mind. But we saw him go relatively early, so we're going to go ahead and snag Sainristil being a really good fit for Ryan Nielsen's defense. Back here with the Bengals, I think after his testing, Chris Jenkins maybe could go relatively high. The Bengals need a little bit more support there on the interior. This one makes sense to me. We got the Philadelphia Eagles. Are we going to make it in a draft where there isn't a running back in the top 50? I don't know, but Eagles are a potential landing spot for a running back, so we're going to actually send it here with my top running back, Trey Benson. I think he's going to be a lot of people's top running back. The guy is just built to play running back. Los Angeles Chargers, they need a left tackle. I think they go ahead and get their project developmental left tackle here in Patrick Paul. Pittsburgh Steelers, they might be out on Mason Cole. Maybe they are 100% out on Mason Cole. He could be a cap casualty. So we're going to go ahead with Zach Frazier. I think he's still going to go relatively high. I mean, he's already walking around after surgery on that broken leg. So good for you, my man. Miami Dolphins, I went with Jackson Powers Johnson in the first round. I wouldn't mind double dipping on the offensive line. I just don't think realistically that's what the Dolphins do. They could, though, go with the tight end, Tavion Sanders. A lot of people are pretty high on him. They see him as a potential back end of the first round guy or somewhere in the early to mid second round. I think I kind of got him around like 45 to 50. So yeah, this would be good value for him. Where do I have him specifically on my board? He is 43. Wow, actually, I have him a little higher than I thought. Fun fact. Fun fact indeed. Back here with the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe they go back to the trenches and look for that developmental prospect that will replace Lane Johnson. The Eagles are a good team at addressing needs before they become needs. So we're going to snag Kieran Amagaji here. Had to sit out of the off-season draft process because of a quad tear, but he's got a lot of hype behind him. You got the Cleveland Browns, and this is a team that I don't know how they're going to get cheaper with Deshaun Watson's contract, but they're going to end up losing a lot of talent because of it. So, especially on the interior. So I think they could probably go with like a Leonard Taylor here, because Mr. Schwartz says, hey, I don't want dump trucks on my offense or defensive line. I want Ferraris. Words are tough, guys. Words are tough. So we get him a Ferrari in Leonard Taylor. Dallas Cowboys, we're back here with them, and I end up double dipping on the offensive line, and I think it's warranted with Tyler Biadasz being a free agent. I think they can do that if they really want to. So I'm going to say Christian Haynes and maybe hope that he can play center early on in the NFL. Like, he looked much better on day 2 and day 3 of the Senior Bowl when lined up there at center. So I'm gonna snag him here. Green Bay Packers, we took corner, we took safety. I think maybe here we take running back. I think we're gonna see at least 2 running backs taken in the first 2 rounds. And I'm gonna take Jonathan Brooks. I know he's got the ACL tear, but he had a very good year. I think he's gonna be higher on many people's boards than some expect. And honestly, I was thinking, I was like, man, what other running back could I fit here in round 2? And I ain't gonna lie, there wasn't one outside of Brooks. Okay, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Didn't address edge in the first round. We'll address it here. Chris Braswell's fabulous value at this juncture of the draft. Then we got the Houston Texans. We grabbed Drazon Newton in the first round. I think they could look for that Jimmy Ward heir apparent in Cameron Kitchens, man. The dude is a ball hawk that just needs a little bit of coaching. Got the Buffalo Bills, and honestly, like, we took wide receiver, and they could look for defensive line help. They didn't get much from Von Miller last year, and AJ Epinesa is a free agent, so they need someone opposite of Gregory Rousseau. Also, Leonard Floyd is a free agent, so we could go with edge here because there's some quality edge talent. Adisa Isaac had a very solid Senior Bowl, showed to be a better in run support than I expected. He's got the length, he's got the speed. He's gonna be a Raz type of guy for the Bills. All right, we're gonna address corner here for the Lions since we didn't do it in the first round with someone I really like. I think he'd be a great fit for Aaron Glenn's defense, and Renardo Green had a very good shrine. Got the Baltimore Ravens, and at this point, if the value's there, then just take the value, right? If you're trying to really get some guys, you can maybe work up as some heir apparents there at the offensive tackle or guard position, and I think Kingsley Suamataia is that. I think teams are going to view him as like Matthew Bergeron and maybe view him as a guard, but I think he can make it work at tackle in the NFL. I truly do, because he's got the size, he's got the length. All right, we got the San Francisco 49ers. I want to get them a corner 2 opposite of Travarius Ward, and there was another guy that blew up the Senior Bowl in Jarvis Brownlee Jr. We're going to put some shine on him here. And then with this final pick of the second round, Kansas City Chiefs, we took a wide receiver. Chris Jones is a free agent. Even if you bring him back, I think you would love to get someone next to him. I don't have this cat high on my board, but it sounds like NFL teams may love him. Braden Fisk has a disgusting first step. He's very explosive. He is a grinder. The thing is, not a lot of secondary pass rush moves. A lot of his pass rushes fizzle out because he stopped on his initial rush and doesn't really have an answer outside of just trying to grind it out. But I could see the NFL being high on him. A lot of draft analysts are high on him too, so we're going to snag him here for the Chiefs. Remember, this was more of a predictive mock draft, but there it is, man. 2 rounds post Super Bowl. Predictive mock draft, and a lot of this was predicting what rounds guys would go in, like Braden Fisk. I think he might end up second round, even though I don't have him there. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, be easy, my friends. Later.